We have a wonderful guest, Tina Teague, here on our show today. She is a local State Farm agency owner and is here today to give us some really important information for our graduating class because it is graduation season, the end of the school year. If you can believe it is around the corner. So Tina, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to chat with you this morning. Before we get into kind of everything, I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yes, my name is Tina Teague, and I'm a owner of a Tina Teague Insurance Agency, Inc., doing business as a State Farm agent, and that's in Pembroke Pines for 18 years. I have over 30 years experience in the insurance and financial service arena. I'm very actively involved in my community, volunteering my time and doing some leadership roles within the community. I also have a blog as well.
You have a blog. That's
Yes.
fast. I love reading blogs. So tell us a little bit about your blog and kind of what that all entails.
Yes, of course. So my blog is a go-to insurance where you can get some insurance awareness and educational tips. And my most recent post has to deal with the prom and as well as buying a car for your teen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that this is a exciting time for a lot of families because they
Yes.
have their teenagers kind of graduating high school,
Yeah.
and it's really kind of that rite of passage to go to prom.
Right.
But it also comes with a lot of safety concerns. So do
Right.
you have any tips for parents and children in kind of both of these subject areas?
Yes, let's start with the prom goers, if you will. So I know that's a night that everyone's excited. They're excited. They have on their tugs and their gowns. They're
Yes.
looking beautiful. They want everyone to see how they look, right? So one of the things, the most important thing is you want to make sure that the prom goers, the driver especially, but all prom goers, passengers as well, you want to make sure that you're not driving under influence. That's
Absolutely
rule
not.
number one, because it's illegal and you shouldn't do that. And it's a hazard to the driver, especially other drivers that are on the roadway.
Absolutely.
Then we want to look at the texting and as well as the social media. So you don't want to multitask when you're driving. You know, there's a time and place when you want to do that, right? So what you want to do is you want to keep your eyes on the road. You want to make sure that you have your seatbelts fastened. You want to make sure that there's no distraction. Multitasking is just not one of those things you want to do when you're driving.
Absolutely.
And then, just basically stick to the basics. Stick to the basic. Like I said, have your seatbelt fastened. Make sure all the passengers have their seatbelt fastened as well. Those are the most important. I know they're simple concepts, but I think sometimes when we get in doing the prom, they're so exciting, yes. And then for the parents, what they want to do is have those open conversations before they get on the roadway, before prom season, right? What you may want to do, especially if it's a car they've never driven before, maybe have them do a test drive, right? Have them test drive so they feel comfortable in that car.
Absolutely.
Also, you want to make sure that all the tires are properly inflated, right? You don't want to have issues when you're driving on the road with that, as well as proper windshield wipers and the fluids, right? The maintenance, basic maintenance of the car. You want to make sure that happens. And then also what you want to look at is the parents. They're nervous, they're excited as well. So it would be a good idea to have all the students that are in the car, the parents exchange numbers just in case if there's an emergency.
Absolutely. Those are some great tips, especially like the one that you mentioned about test driving the vehicle. Because
Right.
I don't know about you, but I know I've driven rental cars before, and it's like
Right.
I know how to drive,
Right.
but you feel like a fish out of water
Right.
when you're driving a car that you're not familiar with,
Right.
especially with maybe a less experienced driver. That's a great tip.
Correct.
And as you mentioned, those open conversations are so important because if there's no openness and no clarity, if something happens, the teams might not want to communicate with the parents. So
Right.
just keeping that open communication
Right.
is very important. Now, usually after graduation and a big event like graduating high school, there's usually plenty of gifts involved, sometimes a car. Can you tell us what tips you have for families looking to purchase vehicles for their children who are going into that next stage in their life?
Right. Well, first I want to say sometimes parents may be a little skeptical about buying that first car. Again, you want to have those open conversations. Also, what you want to do is make sure that before you get that child a car where he or she is on the road by themselves, make sure you as a parent have been in a car with the child, you've observed him or her driving so you can see their habits and give them pointers to be defensive driver, because they are young drivers, and sometimes they tend not to look to be more defensive than maybe you and I, who have more experience driving behind the car, right?
Absolutely.
Then also what you want to do is when you're actually looking for cars, there are airbags, but also try to focus on maybe those vehicles that have additional airbags, where it's surrounding airbags. That's a great thing for safety. Also, there's this thing that's called the intelligent safety belt, and we just didn't know the name of it, right? But it's where it alerts you to put on your seatbelt.
Yes.
Right? So that's a good indicator to keep the student, to keep the graduate in mind for him or her and their passengers. Please make sure you put on your seatbelt, right?
Yes.
The other thing is, I know when we're young, we love those sporty cars, but that may not be a good choice for a first-time car for your child.
Yes, maybe something a little more sensible than cool, at least in this stage in their life, kind of, when you're inexperienced, to get something a little bit more sensible. And then later in life, if they want to upgrade, if you will, they have that option.
Right. And you want to stay away from the speeding part, because it kind of tests their will to, let me see how fast this car can go.
Yes.
And you don't want to do that. And then also, another thing is, we tend to think that sometimes the larger vehicles may be safer, but sometimes you have to be very careful, especially for young drivers with the SUVs and the pickups, because if they are involved in an accident, the tendency what could happen is that vehicle could roll over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have to be mindful of the larger vehicles, the SUVs and pickups.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any personal recommendations? This isn't a plug. We're not sponsored. And it's
no, not necessarily. You want to make sure that they feel comfortable in the car, leg room, because there are some students that are very tall, and sometimes the smaller size vehicle doesn't work for them. So just keep it small, keep it compact. But the safety, I would think I will always look at the safety feature in all the vehicle, be it new or used.
Definitely.
Yes.
That's a great tip. Now, how can your Tina Teague State Farm Agency benefit our teens and parents who are purchasing vehicles? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So, like I said, I am a State Farm agent in Pembroke Pines. So we not only do insurance, but we also have banking products. So when you're out looking for that new or used car, right, you can always call us, and then we can give you information and to see if you would like to get along with State Farm Bank.
See, this is news to me. I didn't know that, so that's great.
Right.
That's a wonderful option.
Right. And then we also try to help them, not only that, but getting them started on the car. We also have options for with the banking, with the checking and the savings, and possibly get them insured while they're young with the life insurance. So we try to do all of that in a one-stop shop.
That's a really great option, and it's wonderful because it's a reliable institution that's been around for so many years, and you have a wonderful face who is serving our community. So, and you said you've been serving Miramar Pembroke Pines for about 18 years,
18
right?
years, yes.
So she knows our community. You've been here a long time, which I love, and like you mentioned, it's a one-stop shop where people can visit you and get all of their needs taken care of for that next phase of life.
Right.
So that's great. Now, thank you so much for just being on our show and sharing that with us. If you could just give us some contact information for you or your team so that people can reach out if they have any questions.
Yes. What they can do is, there's 3 options you can look at. There's the walk-in option, where you can come into the office at 1331 North Palm Avenue, and that's in Pembroke Pines. Number 2, you can call in. You can call us at 954-432-3341, or you can click in, and you can click in at teagueinsurance.org. That's Teague, Teague, insurance.org. And don't forget to look for my blog, tinateague.com. Yes, so and that's for insurance, just little insurance tips
Insurance tips and tricks. So walk in, call in, or click in.
Walk in, call in, or click in.
Very easy. Tina, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure having you on as well.
Thank
We're going to
much.
take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
But when we return, we will be hearing from our city clerk and city planner all about our volunteer boards and how you can get involved. Stay tuned.